What's up guys, it's Bussy and here coming at you with another deck profile, and today we are going to look at another Evangelion deck build. This is Chrono Clash, of course, for those of you who don't know, and I had a request video looking at a purple-blue deck. So let's jump right into it and see what I got. So for this particular build, I actually went with a bit of an Asuka concept. Let's start with the battlers then. We've got three of the 3-cost purple Asuka. She can come down for 1 as a pilot, and basically when she comes into play, it copies another one of your battlers come into play ability. Only a 1 strength, so not like a big deal, but we are running her because we just want that copy the enter the battlefield stuff ability. And for the stack, it just does the same. It copies either yours or your opponent's, so any battlers enter the battlefield ability. Luckily, we have some level of redundancy here, as blue also has an Asuka, which also costs 3. It's costing 1 more if she comes down as a pilot. However, she has recursion. Every time she attacks, you have to spend the time. Be careful. Obviously, with this time spend, you don't want it to stop your turn. But every time she attacks, it copies any chosen battlers enter the battlefield ability. Has a strength of 2. And on the stack it basically taps a battler. So I think this is generally better. Yes, it does cost a little bit more as a pilot, but if you just look at them as a standalone card, you can potentially get a little bit more out of this Asuka. Okay, and then just to make the circle complete, we also have 3 of the other blue Asuka. This card is a fairly powerful card. You really want to use this one to just start attacking in to your opponent's stack, of course. Normally a 4 cost, only 3 cost as a pilot, which is great. When it enters the battlefield, one of your battlers gains the +1 ability, so he basically gets another hit into your opponent's stack, which is really good. And of course, we also have the other 2 Asukas, which can copy that ability in certain ways, certain forms, as we talked about. Strength of 3 is really good, particularly when she comes down and pilots one of the Evas. And on the stack, the ability just to be able to draw 1 card is very good. Obviously, very strong blue concept is, of course, the card draw. So we really like this particular Asuka. Of course, we do have to run Kaji whenever we run purple. Kaji is just a very, very, very strong battler. Not because of his strength. His strength is only a 1, obviously mediocre if you look at his strength. However, when we tap Kaji, we can basically pick any one of our battlers back from our graveyard, which is excellent. If she dies, we get an extra card, which is also fantastic. Does the same thing on the stack as he does on the tap ability as well. So basically what we can do with Ryoji, if we can keep him alive, then we can just carry on tapping him and bringing back Asuka's into play to be able to replay some more of those enter the battlefield abilities. But some of our best enter the battlefield abilities are on our extra cards, and I am going to get onto our extra deck in a little while as well. But yes, definitely the extra deck has 4 different cards that have an enter the battlefield ability. So naturally what we want to do is use our main deck to try and copy as many of those extra card very nice abilities as we can. So we got the 3 Ryoji. Kaji. You guys will know I absolutely love this card. I will protect you. It does cost 2, not really a big deal. Very, very cheap to get into play. She also has Sentinel, which is just excellent. She's very likely to be blown up, and when she's blown up, you get an EX card, you get an extra card. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to get to our extra card as soon as we can. The 1 strength is just, again, she's just basically in the deck to get us extra cards. On the stack, she jumps up to our hand, which is also very good. We're running 3 test type 01 Eva As much as the artwork is obviously probably bringing your eyes more to Shinji here, this is actually an Eva, so you can actually put pilots on this one. Um, it's a really cool card in terms of obviously being able to get +3 strength, which is really good. In effect, becoming a 5 strength attacker. Whenever it attacks, you have to discard a card, but you also get an EX card. Again, purple is not as friendly with just giving us EX cards that easily, but this is one of purple's ways to give us extra cards. We do have to drop a card. Not a problem. It can actually synergize quite well with Kaji. If we have nothing in particular we want to get back from the drop, just throw away a battler, not a problem. You can get it back with Kaji, absolutely fine. And then on the stack, it draws us one card, which again is great. That's exactly what we want to see. Don't know if you can, yeah, just about see that one there, guys. Okay. We also have a sort of quote unquote awakened Shinji here. Uh, he is a 3 cost. As a pilot, he's a 2 cost. He also gives a +1 attack against the stack when he's swinging, so that's just really good. 2 strength is okay. Again, we really just want to use this to buff our Evas. You can get a pretty decent little package here if you put him on the test type of 1, for example. 3, 4, 5, 7 attack times 2 is pretty okay. And again, it does what Kaji does on the stack, basically brings any one of our battlers back from the graveyard. It's pretty interesting wording there, because it shows you that you can pick any battler, not just your own, but I don't know of any card that would put your opponent's cards into your graveyard, so whatever. I suppose maybe that's just some future proofing of the card. Now here's one of the cards I just love for the art, but in general it's also a pretty good card. Our 4 cost Eva unit, test type 1. When it swings, you need to discard a card, and again you can pick any one of your battlers back from your graveyard. So you can see we got a lot of graveyard recursion, which is really good to have. And because we have so many of these, we're not really having a problem with having the cards in our hands that we want. It's enough to see one copy. As long as you see that one copy of any particular card you need from the deck, you got a lot of recursions to try and get it back into your hand, which is really important in the game. Obviously, the question is whether you're going to see any particular card or not, because there's no real deck digging, of course, in this game. But yeah, a 4 cost 4 strength is alright. Certainly with the ability it becomes even better. On the stack, if it's destroyed, it jumps into your hand, which is pretty cool. Now on to another one of my favorite units. This is Production Model 02, a 4 cost 3 strength Eva. Again, it has Sentinel. I think Sentinel is really cool in the Eva format. And if it's destroyed, you gain 2 time. Again, just really good in a way that you can gain extra time either if it's destroyed or if it's hit on the stack. Either way, more time in the game means more cards can come into play, more strategy you can apply, more pressure to apply. I also love this Model 02. Quite different from the previous one we've looked at. It does cost more, but it does have 2 extra strength as well. It is +1 against the stack, which is great. But very importantly, when it comes into play, we draw a card. And if we can carry on recurring this is one of the key cards we want to see come into play, because then all the Asukas, when they come down, they can copy this particular one and just carry on getting extra cards into our hand, which is just absolutely brilliant. In terms of a bit of removal, the purple Production Model 02 Eva is really good. 6 cost for 5 strength. Obviously, the cost to power ratio is not as good as the previous one. However, when it comes to play, it destroys a chosen battler with less than or equal than 3 power. So again, this is something we can then copy with Asuka's. And also what's really cool here is that, of course, when it's destroyed, it also destroys a 3 or less cost battler, power battler. So this should be able to just get some of those low strength sentinels out of the way that your opponent may be playing, and just clean the board as much as you can with the little weenies, and then try and be able to swing big with your extra cards. Remember, extra cards do trigger if you like pay this as an extra card cost. When it's destroyed, this will trigger. You will be able to destroy something that is a 3 strength. The ninth angel, not an ever. Be careful, it's not an ever, but it's an absolutely fantastic card. It's a bit risky to play, and it's normally one of those cards that you really want to evaluate before you play it. You certainly don't want to copy this with any of the Asukas, but let me just talk about this a little bit. So 4 costs, you get 8 strength. So that is a huge amount of cost to power ratio. There must be some drawback. There is, of course. When it comes into play, you get an EX card. Great. It basically replaces itself with an EX card, but one of the chosen opponents will get 2 cards onto their stack. So they basically can go up from a 5 stack to a 7 stack if it's early game. If they're down to like 1 late game, they can go back to 3. You want to make sure you play Ninth Angel when you got some of those heavy hitting cards from your EX deck, or maybe you got the Shinji that allows you to hit for that +1 extra, so you can actually deal with that 2 extra stack that you give to your opponent. Besides that, of course, when it does hit in, it basically negates that, but you need to make sure you get in with the card, of course. That's one of the things. That's why we got the sweeper, for example, to be able to clear the board for this guy. It should work in a way that, yes, your opponent gets +2, but also it swings with a +2, so if you get a successful hit in, as long as you can keep going, and there really won't be many cards that do A strength. Even if the card's tapped, this still goes through, doesn't matter. And it has taunt as well. Taunt can be really good to protect certain cards. You can protect, of course, your sentinels with taunt. You can protect your Kajis with taunt, etc, etc. So overall, even with the drawback, it's an excellent card. Definitely a 3-up for any purple deck. You just need to be careful when you play it. The blue version of the Ninth Angel, quite different in a way. We have the cost and the power ratio balanced out, 6 for 6, that's cool. You still get a +1 over to the stack. It also has protection, so none of the other cards can be targeted by your opponent's cards, which is really cool to have. Sometimes underrated, but it's a very, very cool effect. And it also has taunt. What's amazing about the card, if it's destroyed, it basically nets you a card. You draw a card from your deck, and you also get an EX card, which is again very important to get to those EX cards as early as possible. Okay, let's put this one there. We do run quite a few angels. We also have the 7th angel, again for purple, 8 cost, 8 strength. Works out, it's an okay ratio, +1 against the stack. He has taunt again. You will see that a lot of our higher cost cards will have taunt. That's good. We kind of want that, to be fair. We want difficult cards for our opponent to have to get into. Obviously, an A strength card can be quite difficult to like actually be able to deal with, and because they're taunting, they have to be the first ones targeted by the effects. Another very good enter the battlefield ability. This is, however, when it comes very important that we actually get our pilots out onto the Evas and not just as individual battlers, because when 7th Angel comes into play, all the battlers with 3 cost or less are destroyed. Now normally this is not a problem. If we kill something like You and I Will Protect You, it just gets off an EX card. That's absolutely great. The only card we gotta be careful with is Kaji. We don't want to kill our own Kaji, of course. So that's one thing gotta be careful with, but you do have to have some additional levels of removal to deal with our opponent's small cost cards. Okay, another one of my absolutely favorite cards is 5th Angel for purple. I love this card so much. Not only do you get a 5 strength for 5 cost, You get a +1 attacker against the stack, +1 against the stack, another taunter. So now we got 2, 4, 7, 10 taunters all together, which is quite a nice amount to have in the deck. When it's destroyed, you get an EX card, and one of your chosen opponents, well, it can be yourself as well if you want to discard cards from your hand. I certainly not think that would be a good idea though. So you get an EX card, and you also discard 2 cards from your opponent's hand, which is just fantastic. You know, card advantage in this game is very important. A lot of colors are struggling to draw enough cards, and this card just really screws your opponent over if it gets destroyed. So again, definitely one of my most favorite cards in the game, Fifth Angel for purple. And now to the extra cards. We have 3. What do you think of the Idiot? Those of you who have been watching my previous videos, you will know that I always put this into any blue deck that I build. We of course have the Buzz Maneuver, where we get where is she? Where is she? Where we get there she is. Yeah, we get I will protect you down for a 2 cost. Then we play What Do You Think of the Idiot? We blow up I will protect you, which nets us an EX card, and we in effect still gain some extra time back. I just absolutely love this move, and it is quite efficient in this particular game. You only play a 2 cost for this, 1 cost for that. You still net 2 time altogether as you go on. And if for any reason this survived the turn, for example, or if you want to go on maybe if you she's like the Model 02 has done some sentineling, your opponent didn't swing or anything, next turn you can just again blow it away and gain 2 extra time with that. So all in all, there's a number of different ways how you can utilize this card. On the stack, it just gets you 2 extra time, which is also fantastic. Again, it's probably one of my most favorite sort of utility cards in the game. Continuing on with what the Fifth Angel does, we of course do run 3 Don't Run Away. This card is fantastic again. It puts the card back into its owner's hand, which can of course be normally very disrupting against our opponent. Just being able to put something that costs them a huge amount of time back into their hand, that can be quite frustrating. Not only that, but it will also discard 1 card from our opponent's hand. So we got 6 cards that actually discard from our opponent's hand. It's a very nice little discard package that we have going on here. On the stack, it does exactly the same. It bounces 1 card back. It can be absolutely marvelous when you hit this card off the stack, and you just maybe your opponent has like a massive attacker. Imagine like an Evangelion 13. You just bounce it back into their hands. It's particularly good against extra cards, because of course they will have sacrificed sometimes a number of 2, maybe sometimes 3 battlers to get one of those big, beefy, juicy battlers out. This guy just completely gets rid of it, which is fantastic. I absolutely love Don't Run Away. And then finally, we just have 2 more sweepers. Quite costly. This is why we only run the 2. But Shinji and Asuka, they basically take care of 2 battlers that cost 6 or less. And on the stack, the card just jumps back into your hand. Another reason why you certainly are okay to run just the 2. But again, it just really works well with the other removals that we have in the deck. Anything we can't really deal with, we need to hope to see at least 1 copy of this card, and it can take care of 2 cards, which is really good. And obviously getting to 7 time is not really a problem if we see a What Do You Think of the Idiot? So that's it for the main deck. Let's run through the extra cards as well. For blue, certainly my favorite extra card would be Prototype 00. This is a super cheap card. It's only a 2 cost. Again, what we can do is if we draw into this early, and if we have I Will Protect You down, it's a 2 cost for a 2 cost, so we literally stacking one card for one card, which is great. This will then give us the next EX card, super good. It has quick, so it can immediately attack, and if it runs into something that, of course, is higher strength than he is, then he's just gonna jump back into our hand, which is excellent stuff. Again, it's difficult to deal with because he keeps doing that, and we don't necessarily have to see the repercussions of hitting a large unit off the stack. Very importantly, as I said, we got 4 cards in the extra deck that have an enter the play ability. This is number 1. When it comes into play, it taps a battler. Be careful, if your opponent has no battlers in play, you have to choose one of your own. The last thing you want to happen is you playing this card and immediately having to tap it, because the effect always needs to happen. Besides that, as long as you see with your opponent having cards down, fantastic card. Super cheap, very, very effective, just to chip away at their stack. Our second extra card with an enter the battlefield ability. This is a more costly one, as you can see, the 80 Battlefield Eva 01. It's a 7 cost, but you get an 8 strength card for it. Again, with fast, so you can swing as soon as it comes into play. It deals +1 damage to the stack, and when it comes into play, it blows up a battler, and you get a card back from your discard pile. Yet another card that gets us something back from our discard pile. Absolutely fantastic. We can get extra cards back from our discard pile. We can get Kajis back that may have been blown up during the play. We can get pretty much everything besides extra cards back from our discard, which is just excellent. And again, we can utilize it, enter the battlefield ability multiple times with our Asukas. Our third extra card, and this is number 3 for another enter the battlefield ability. This does what the 80 Battlefield does, but a little bit better and a little bit worse, whereas we don't actually get to blow up any cards. This is an amazing removal. Like, it doesn't even look at cost, just blow up a battler. Fantastic. Probably one of the best removals in the game is 80 field. However, this guy, same cost, you get less strength. You get only 5 strength, so that's obviously a -3 strength. You would think, okay, well, why is he running that? Well, because he's still a fast card, he still has a +1 against the stack, and he just picks up our graveyard and puts it into our hand. It's fantastic. Like, even if it's just 2-3 cards in your discard, as long as you got 2 cards in your discard, I recommend to play it, because that means you're netting 1 card off at the end of the day. But the more cards you have, this becomes significantly better. If your opponent plays a removal heavy deck, like my red-blue deck, which has a lot of extra time, it has a lot of nice removals with the different angels and with Eva 13, this can just completely bring you back in the game, getting you a lot of cards back. Fantastic. And our final extra card, which still has an enter the battlefield ability, is Eva Test Type 01 with the sniper weapon. This guy is an A cost, but we get a 9 strength attacker, probably the best attacker that purple actually has access to. And it also has fast, very important, so you can swing immediately. +2 to the stack, very, very good. And another really good enter the battlefield ability, where in this particular case we can replicate the enter the battlefield ability of one of our chosen battlers that's in our graveyard. That can be good, particularly if we have this card, for example. Just draw an extra card. We copy that and it replaces itself. Fantastic. Or if we have something pesky but small to deal with, of course we can perhaps copy this guy to get rid of a 3 cost. Which can be also very good to just clear the board and definitely be able to get in with this guy. Moving on, the penultimate card in the extra deck, we have the 9th Angel. Be careful, all these are Evas, so they can have pilots, not this one. This guy is not an Eva. A 5 cost 7 strength, absolutely brilliant cost to power ratio. It does have fast, which is good. We can immediately tap it, spend 1 time, and again just copy one of our any particular battlers, not just our own battlers, enter the playability. So it's basically a pumped up version of Asuka that we have here. But rather than attacking with it, because this guy cannot attack, this guy is actually a sentinel. And why this is really cool, why it's so cool to have sentinels with tap abilities, particularly with fast, is what you do is as soon as you play this guy, you tap it, you spend the one time, you copy one of your opponent's enter the battlefield abilities, which obviously it's a bit of a circumstantial card. You want to make sure that your opponent does have something. It can be yours as well, so as long as you got something useful to copy or your opponent, happy days. Uh, and sentinels need to be tapped uh, for your opponent to be able to attack into. Now, first turn it's okay because when a sentinel comes into play, you can tap it. But you get the added benefit of actually copying something, and not only that, but you basically get to do that every turn, and your opponent will have to be forced to swing into this guy, obviously having the sentinel, rather than being able to hit your stack. For a 7 strength sentinel, that's also very good for a 5 cost. Even though it cannot swing, it's got so much utility, and every single turn it can activate its sentinel, which is just great. And our final extra card is Type S Components EVA 02. 5 cost, 5 strength, so we break even. It does have fast, so you can swing immediately, and when it swings, you spend one time, and you can again copy one of your battlers enter the battlefield ability. So again, it just does basically what this guy does, but from your graveyard, which can be also very useful. Basically does the same as that, but rather than coming into play every time you swing. So we get a lot of recursion. We can use our enter the battlefield abilities multiple times, which gives us a lot of access to extra shenanigans, basically ensuring that we can carry on applying pressure, either with just getting extra cards back into our hands. That gives us more options to do in consecutive turns, or being able to sometimes copy our opponent's stuff, whatever they may be playing. I can guarantee you that most decks will have at least a number of enter the battlefield abilities that they may find useful, just like drawing an extra card, like you could see on Production Model 02, or maybe having some pilots that do some stuff when they come into play. So just be mindful whenever you're building for these kinds of decks. Is if you pick a theme, try and make sure that you have some recursion. It's difficult to build your deck around any one particular card. You only get 3 of in a 50 card deck, so you will find yourself not seeing that card very often. That's probably my best advice. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this particular deck profile for this case, a blue-purple Evangelion deck. And make sure you subscribe, like, share, leave a comment below, very importantly. Peace out, YouTube. Saiyan signing out.